Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be walking you through my Apex Legends warm-up routine that I do each and every day before I hop into real matches. I think it's very important to have a solidified warm-up routine, especially if you're playing on a time crunch. For example, if you're only playing 2-3 hours every single day, chances are you're spending about half of that time actually getting warmed up. Warming up is very important because sometimes you're not even going to reach your peak until like an hour and a half into game, because that's how long it took you to like get into real actual good fights and be able to warm up your mechanics. So warming up is really important, especially if you're on a time crunch. And yeah, let's go ahead and break this down, what I do each and every day. So I typically start off with eye tracking, which is really important for me for a couple reasons. One, I'm on mouse and keyboard, and eye tracking becomes significantly more important because you need to be able to lock onto your targets and focus on them. It makes aiming much easier and almost gives you like a aim assist like asset if you are really good at being able to predict targets and just focus on them in terms of reactivity. But I like to do this mostly because I have an eye condition called coloboma in my right eye where I can't see out of it very well. Basically everything is blurry out of my right eye. I do have a little bit of peripheral vision with it, but because of this, sometimes I get double vision. Like I'll see two of my mouse cursors on the same screen in different spots, and it really messes me up. So this is a really good chance for me to kind of train that, especially when it happens when I'm doing eye training. I can kind of try to figure out how to counteract that and deal with it in the moment. But yeah, let's go ahead and walk you through this. What I do every single day is I put the speed up to a speed where it's kind of a challenge, but it's not too fast to where I'm like trying to predict it and my eyes are stuttering all over the screen. So probably a little bit slower than this. Right around there, I can still track this smoothly, but it's also a challenge for me, which gives me room to improve on it. Basically, you just want to focus on the dot as well as you can and just try to lock it in, really focus on it so that it looks like it's moving slowly, basically. And the faster you go, the harder it's going to be. But if you're able to make even like faster targets like this look really slow, then you're probably improving really fast at eye tracking. I go through each of these for about 40 to 60 seconds each. And some of the drills you're going to have to raise the speed or lower them. This is a good speed for this one, whereas on this DVD one, it's way too fast for me to be able to track, so I'd have to lower it a little bit, probably about to there. And then we go to the next one, which now looks very slow, so we're going to move the speed up a little bit. But really, all you want to do is focus on the target as much as you can and just try to track it smoothly. And run through each of these again for 40 to 60 seconds each. And then we get to this last one right here where it's more of a flicking exercise. You want to try, for the sake of this, I'll lower the speed, but you want to flick onto it with your eyes and then flick onto the next one. You don't want to lock off of the target until it disappears. And that's really all there is to it. This should take you about 5-6 minutes maybe. And then you can go ahead and hop on to your aim training, which I typically start off on Kovaaks. I typically only do one of these each time before I play. I'll either do this Giyb warm-up routine. Giyb is somebody that plays on really high sensitivity, if you guys don't know who he is, but he gave me this and it goes really hard. It's really mostly focused on tracking, which is mostly what Apex is all about, is being able to track really well. But if you really want a solidified warm-up routine that focuses on all different kinds of aiming mechanics, then this Forbi warm-up is very, very good as well. It just focuses on a little bit more, has a little bit more variety to it. Typically, I just go through the Giyb one. It's really good for me. It works well. But if I have a little bit more time, like if I have 30, 45 minutes before I'm planning on getting on Apex, I'll do the Forbi warm-up. But yeah, let me take you through this one real quick. It starts off on close tappy strafes, which is basically just you want to focus on smoothness and a little bit of reactivity here and just go through it. The more bots you kill, the harder and more unpredictable they get. Eventually they start lurching on you a little bit, which is really good for Apex. Pretty self-explanatory. We'll go to the next one. Narrow strafe. This one is pretty much just focused on reactivity. You just want to try to react to what the bot is doing. You don't really want to try to predict it. Only move your mouse, or only try to move your mouse when the bot itself is moving. Revolving tracking. If you play on low sense, this is going to warm you up very quickly because you have to move your arm and wrist so much on this one. I really enjoy this one. I'm a low sense player, so just warming up on this on low sense is really good. If you're going for a personal best on this, it's going to be better to play on higher sense, and there is benefits to playing this on higher sense anyways, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Like I said, this is a warm-up routine, so I like to play it on my regular sense just to get my mouse moving as much as possible. Close, fast strafes, pretty self-explanatory, just up close. Fighting in Apex happens all the time. Pretty much just reactivity on this one. And then we get to kind of fast strafes thin, which is very self-explanatory. But yeah, that's really all I do each and every day. Sometimes I run through it twice, but if I have more time, like I said, I'll do the Forbi one. And then I do have another one that I do when I either haven't played in a little bit of time, or I'm just really shaky that day, whether that's from not enough sleep or drinking too much caffeine or whatever it is. If I'm really shaky, I will do this one instead of the other two. Basically what I do is it's just this drill that runs through a bunch of different styles of aiming. It starts off on static clicking, then goes to dynamic clicking, then goes to smooth tracking, and then reactive tracking, and then eventually to target switching. But basically it just kind of helps you work all the different mechanics in the game. And the reason I like to do this one when I'm feeling really shaky is because I actually start this off on very high sensitivity, like 20 centimeters per 360 roughly. For the sake of this, I play on 800 DPI, so I put this at roughly 4.0 sensitivity on 800 DPI, and it shows off the jitters so much more. Like if you're shaky and you up your sensitivity, your errors in your mouse control are going to be a lot more. It's going to show off your errors a lot more because of how the mouse sensor reacts to how much you're shaking. So if you play on a high sensitivity, you're basically going to be forced to kind of like adjust to those errors much quicker and try to correct them much quicker. And then I run through it once, which is 3 minutes, and then I lower it to 3.5, run through it again, and then lower it down to 3.0, and then eventually until I get down to 1.5, which is my normal sensitivity as of late. You don't have to lower it or raise it in increments of 0.5, but that's just what works for me, so that's what I do. You can play around with it if you want, but if you're feeling really shaky, I promise this is going to help get those jitters out very quickly, and when you get onto the game, your aim is going to feel very smooth. So that's just a really good warm-up routine. This one takes about 15 minutes because I run through it typically 5 times, but you can adjust to it how you're feeling that day if you want to, if this is the method that you prefer to warm up with. I think it's very important for warm-up routines, right? Like you can copy the warm-up routine that I'm doing specifically, but it's also very important to find what works for you. So I would definitely trial and error the information that I've given you guys so far and see what works best for you. Like maybe the eye tracking drills don't do anything for you, then just don't do them. Do something else, like get on 1v1 your friend or something. Do things that help you warm up. Figure it out. It's all about trial and error. I'm just giving you guys the information of what helps me personally, and hopefully it will help some of you as well. But yeah, anyways, after aim training and eye training, I hop into the range. I typically just grab a 9.9. Sometimes if I want to work on like recoil control, I'll grab a flatline or a 301 and go all the way up there and just practice recoil control on the bots down here, or practice jitter aiming, just things like that. There's all sorts of different ways you can practice, especially in this new range. But typically what I do is I have the bots strafe. I'm not going to make them on strafing just because it's loud. Grab a 9.9, practice my strafing, practice my strafe aim, recoil control on the R9. I'll slowly like move back as I play. Typically I use the car as of late because the 9.9 is in the crafter right now. But yeah, I just practice my recoil control, get a good feel for the aiming mechanics in the game, and then I will start like moving around a lot more, practicing my movement and my PK flicking. Sometimes I'll grab a wingman instead of a PK. It's really just all how you're feeling that day. Like if it's feeling like you want to use the wingman that day, then heavily focus on using the wingman in the range. Practice fatigue balancing, practice super gliding, practice using doors, climbing, all that good stuff. Really just try to practice what you would use in a regular game. It's really important. Like I said, this is a warm-up routine, so you really just want to try to practice what you want to be able to do in real games. Like for example, if you're trying to learn how to mantle jump, this is a really good time to practice that mechanic as well. You can come over to this zipline and try to practice your mantle jumping. You can practice your super gliding if you're trying to learn how to do so. If I can hit a super glide, geez. But yeah, that's really all there is to this warm-up routine. It's nothing crazy. If you guys don't like mindlessly like aim training or just sitting in the range practicing recoil control, then I highly recommend trying to find a friend that is roughly the same skill level as you and just 1v1 them for about like 20-30 minutes, and that's also going to help you warm up significantly faster, just because you're actually getting good practice on somebody that is not just a robot and has unpredictable movement and whatnot. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up here. If this was helpful to you guys, let me know down below. If you're new around here, if you guys don't mind dropping a sub, that would be awesome. And if there's anything else you guys want to know, let me know down below. I'd be happy to answer it or make a whole different video on it. Like if you guys want some drills that you can do in the firing range that are like aim training-esque, I'd be happy to make a whole different video talking about drills you can do in here. I might do that anyways. But soon I will have a super glide guide as well, and I will be doing a review on the GameSense sonar as well very soon. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If this was helpful, drop a thumbs up and let me know how this warm-up works for you after a few days of trying it. All right, peace.